Hello and welcome to yet a very special edition of New Day Calumet City. I'm your in-studio host, Sean Howard. Today, our focus is Veteran Affairs, and we are so honored that we have our primary coordinator of our Veteran Affairs issues here in Calumet City, one who has received 2 Purple Hearts in his military service to this country, Mr. Charles Pryor. Thank you, Mr. Pryor, for coming. It's so good to have you, and we are excited about so many wonderful opportunities that are forthcoming to the city of Calumet City, to which you have really launched. And you know, it's no doubt that this is your mission, this is your ministry, as I like to put it. But I want to talk about this recent Washington, D.C. trip, because a lot of fascinating meetings happen, and I know you're working on the funding necessary from the federal level as it relates to the Calumet City Veterans Assistance Center, a project that you and the mayor are very passionate about. But this trip to D.C., let's talk about some of the meetings you had and some of the things you were able to accomplish.
Okay, thank you. Number one, we met with Senator Tammy Duckworth, and she bought right into the program. She was excited. She was like, yes, we need more of this. Then we met with the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee staff meeting, and Bill Van Shawn, the consul there, we did a very, very extreme, detailed support mechanism from that area into Calumet City, what they wanted to offer. And we are here with the Senate Committee on Veterans Affairs. Then we met with Senator Richard Durbin's office.
You got to meet with Senator Durbin if you got to get anything done.
Amen.
He's the majority whip in the Senate.
Yes.
We just met with Senator Durbin's office, and we definitely stressed the need of having a community outreach program for veterans, along with the goal of having an accredited vet center, accredited by the VA.
Then we met with Congressman Robin Kelly.
Yes.
Part of Illinois.
A big proponent of Calumet City here.
Yes, for Illinois. And then from there we met with Congressman Delia Ramirez.
Okay.
She's also from Illinois. And they all supported this fact of what is needed for veterans. Matter of fact, I was offered a number of opportunities to come back and participate in some veteran programs.
Right.
And then also with Congressman Jesse Jackson's son.
Jonathan Jackson.
Jonathan Jackson, thank you. We met with him. He invited me to come back and participate in some veteran programs. So the thrust of the project, getting funding, I'm very confident that it's going to happen.
Right.
I think the mayor has an excellent platform, communications, relationships with all of these people. And so that will definitely happen, no question about that. And part of my calling, and I'm just going to give it right to God, part of my calling is helping veterans.
Right.
Why? Because I am a veteran.
Right.
I served in the combat, and the ramifications for a veteran that went through combat is horrendous.
Yeah.
And so at this point, my background is I've been helping veterans over 25 years.
Right.
I actually started a computer training program, opened it up to the community, and I have hundreds and hundreds of veterans that have come to me for my expertise in helping them to improve the quality of their life.
Let's talk about, there's been this national conversation on just the challenges that military veterans continue to go through, regardless of the administration in Washington, D.C., regardless of it's a Republican administration or Democratic administration. We find ourselves right back here hearing horror stories of individuals dealing with post-traumatic syndrome issues and what have you. Why is it a continuous struggle? Why do we still find ourselves at this juncture?
Excellent question. Number one, the effects of above normal human conditions on any human being is dramatic.
Of course.
They say 70% of the homeless right now are veterans.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then the stats are that there are 22 veterans a day committing suicide.
Right.
And I worked with Dr. Dawson at the Vet Center in Chicago Heights, and one of the answers, the suicide rate is not because the veteran was deployed or in combat. It's some personal issues.
Yeah.
Number one is relationships.
Yeah.
Number two is finances. Number three is which way to go. He's isolated, and behind the ramifications of what he went through, he thinks he's normal. So he's not really, the veteran is really not open to express and know how to heal himself.
So
One more point. And so for that reason, I'm answering your question. That's why it's good to take someone that's been in those shoes. And that's where God saw fit to place me here with the mayor as a team now to address those veterans that really need to improve the quality of their life.
Right, and as you see, so many of our young people look to the Navy, the Army, Marines, and the other branches, Air Force included, not just to serve the country, but for educational purposes and to get the experience necessary. Now we're even hearing that some have gone and served their country mightily, have gained knowledgeable and experience, and they have trouble yet going into the workforce now. That often is a challenge too.
Definitely, no question about that. I haven't surveyed all of the individuals that volunteer, but I volunteered in the military, trying to get into computer programming.
Right.
So it's a career path. It's to get me out of this situation that I'm in, get me out of the neighborhood, and get me out to the world. And that's literally what the military offers an individual. So for an individual that goes into the military, depending on what he was exposed to, and there's all types of racism, prejudices, stigmas, you name it. So if he is lucky and if he's secure in himself, he can come out a success story. But if he's not secure in himself, he can end up being a victim rather than a victor.
Right.
So for that reason, many individuals are not successful when it comes back to migrating back to civilian life.
Yeah. And
and they need help right there. And I just want to bring that
Please
point
do,
out.
please do.
I want to bring that point out. There's no way you can know what an individual is thinking and what he feels behind what he went through. So it takes a team. It takes more than one individual to really work with a person, a veteran, a war veteran in particular, and get them where they can function.
Are you, Mr. Pryor, I hate to use the word satisfied, but are you comfortable with the federal government's attention span on the mental health of individuals coming out of the military?
No.
Because we deal with mental health as a
Not at all.
crisis in Illinois,
Yes.
but it appears that the military population, our veteran population, are dealing with these mental health issues in a much more traumatic sense. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. There's no way the military can take down its profile of, we're the greatest military on earth.
Right.
That was the mission. That is the mission today. And so for an individual that has issues, and especially the mental issues, they don't know how to heal themselves.
Right.
So it is a challenge to reach them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm speaking from personal experience. I've been out of the war for years, and I still have personal issues
Let's
that
talk
I
about
deal with daily.
Let's talk about your work experience. Let's talk about
Amen.
that.
Amen. Yes, yeah.
Explain to our viewing audience your travels in the military and some of the missions to which you've had to deal with.
Quick story. I joined the military to be an electronic technician, computer programming. Not knowing what I was doing, following my elder brother, I volunteered for 2 years, which is the same as being drafted. So when I graduated from basic training, instead of me going to computer programming, they put me in infantry.
Wow.
Off to Vietnam I go. What a surprise, what a shock. I felt like I was, the old term, being screwed right off the bat.
Right.
So I wanted to do the right thing. My dad was a minister, so I didn't want to go to jail. So I ended up going to the war,
Right.
depending on God to bring me home.
Right.
After being shot twice and seeing all of the combat that I went through, I was blessed.
Wow, you were wounded twice.
I was shot twice, 2 Purple Hearts.
Wow.
Yeah, March the 9th, 1969, and April 29th, 1969.
Was this in Vietnam?
In Vietnam.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
the province of Tay Ninh, Bien Hoa, Quan Loy, Phu Vien.
Yeah.
Right beside Hamburger Hill is the second
Right.
one.
Yeah,
Hamburger
we
Hill.
learned that in our
It's a
history
movie.
classes.
Yeah.
But let's talk
Yes.
about, so when you decided to step down from your military service and re-enter civilian life, was that a hard transition even for yourself?
It was more than hard. The only thing I can say that I'm so fortunate that I had a family, my father, to come home to. He took me into his environment. He didn't have to do that. He could have said, "Oh no, man, you're not normal.
Right,
I don't want to bring you back here." But he opened his doors up. He was glad to see me, and that right there was the step. Someone to believe in me, think me, support me, And that was the key that allowed me to get into my civilian life, put the military, not put it away, because you can never sweep it under the rug. But I was able to focus. I graduated with an associate's degree, got hired in computer programming, and got my journey started. What a blessing.
Right.
What a blessing.
But that blessing was probably part of a small minority of your fellow veterans who come out, who may not have been as fortunate to have those particular family. You mentioned family. The family support is critical.
Amen.
And many of our veterans didn't go into the military with a lot of family support. So definitely when they come out, it's lacking. And you're saying here, right here on this set, that family support is a big critical factor in pushing this and getting to the success point.
Not only that, I'll say this, that's part of that transition for a war veteran or a veteran coming back to civilian life. If they don't have a family,
Right.
they're lost.
Right.
When I came home, I come from a large family. I'm the youngest of 6 boys.
Wow.
And I was close to all of my older brothers.
Right.
However, when I saw a Vietnam War veteran, there was no question about us bonding.
Right.
So that's the missing link right now. You asked about this mental health crisis, what's going on with veterans. That's what they need. They need someone to hold their hand and say, look, I know what you went through. I'm with you, and we're going to win. I'm going to convert you from being a victim to a victor.
All of which is a great segue into your service here in the city of Calumet City.
Absolutely,
and
no question.
And you had made it
No question
your
about that.
primary mission to be a sole source of support, resource even, and even resolve for our military veterans here in our town and beyond. So let's talk about what you do here in Calumet City, and then we'll get to the center. But I want the viewing audience to know that you're valuable resources for them to connect to.
Thank you so much. Now I'm gonna back up here and just say this. I met the mayor, Thaddeus Jones, Calumet City, over 25 years ago.
Right.
He was my alderman at the time.
Great.
Okay, I was a property investor, home income property. And so he knew of my character, he knew of my military background, and we had some relationships. He actually wrote me a reference letter over 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And so when it came about, he was at a meeting, an American Legion meeting, and I came in the door and I saw him, we greeted, and he was announcing the fact that Calumet City was opening up this program to help veterans.
Right.
Well, I didn't think anything about it. I'm not sit down, comfortable. So after the meeting, I went to him to greet him personally, and he said, Charles, why don't you take this job? I know you can do it.
Right.
And I have to admit, it was a connection. God had me to meet him at that meeting.
Right.
And I didn't answer him to say yes.
Yes.
So what did he do? He sent the personnel director to hunt me down. He recruited me and brought me in here because he knew that I could connect to these war veterans.
So this is not just the service you're providing, this is your ministry.
It's my calling. It's the alignment.
Right.
And that's what I told the personnel director.
Right.
This is an alignment. And in so many words, I've been doing this job over 25 years. Wow.
So with that, Mr. Pryor, let's talk about the Calumet
God.
City Veterans Assistance
Yes,
Center,
sir.
which is a vision of yours. You've handed that vision to the mayor's mindset, and now you both are collectively going out for
Yes.
it. Talk about what this center potentially could provide to your fellow brothers and sisters that are considered military veterans.
Number one, just that link of having someone that say, I care about you, I'm here to help you. Now some veterans, they're kind of isolated. It's almost like I can't reach them. But nevertheless, I still have a bond with them. And I just got to find a way to do that. So to relate back to what you just stated, when I first came aboard a year ago now, I told the mayor a number of times, I says, Mayor Jones, I just want to thank you. And I said it so much, I know he got tired of it. He said, Charles, I didn't do this, God did it.
Right.
God got you right here.
Right.
So for that said, that is my mission, is to reach these veterans that need help.
And you want to house these programs in this center, to which will be located where?
Well, before I answer that question, let me go back to my point.
Sure.
So to link to those
Just like
veterans,
a veteran, it's his show now.
to link to these veterans is a big deal.
Right.
I'm really praying that one day I'll be in the White House.
Right.
Talking literally just as we're talking right now about helping veterans.
Great.
And when it comes to the publicity money and all, that's not me. Yeah. What's in me is the fact that I know these veterans need help.
Right.
Now, this program here that the mayor has it's kicked off, we're looking at doing housing, homelessness assistance, health and medical services, educational opportunities, employment assistance, disability claim processing assistance, financial planning assistance, discharge upgrades. I'm literally at a level, I should have an attorney's
You have a law degree right now.
a law degree. But I'm thinking about doing that.
But Charles, you want to house this directly across the street from where we are right now,
Amen.
City Hall.
Yes.
Right here, and we'll talk about the address and location. But
Right.
you want a one-stop shopping center right here in Calumet City, directly across from City Hall, where veterans, not just from Calumet City, would benefit.
That's true.
But people from around the region, veterans from around the region. But more importantly, the core here of veterans in Calumet City literally are in walking distance in some scenarios, and in some a 5-minute drive.
True. As of right now, I have over 70 clients that I've started over the last year.
Great start.
A couple of them are in DC, a couple in Virginia. I have one in California, 2 in Mississippi, 1 in Mexico.
Right.
And again, I have this link. I told the mayor when I got started, I says, listen, I'm going to hit the ground running because I've been doing this over 25 years.
Right.
So again, the key here is to provide a program that will raise the quality of life of these veterans.
Right.
And again, Calumet City does have a facility. And our goal right now is to make this facility open to other municipalities and let these veterans come and get the service that they need. And I want to bring up one point.
Sure.
It's stated, everybody says, thank you for your service to a veteran, right? Well, my vote is he needs more than just a thank you for your service. He needs a thank you for me being alive. Thank you for me not being in a situation. And then he put his life on, he made the calling to the country. It's time for the country to turn around and address that veteran.
Because while we were asleep, he or she was on the front line.
And that's another little step here with this program, this Veteran Assistance Program. I even did some analysis about starting an official vet center that's recognized by the VA.
Great.
Yeah, that's another 2-3 levels up.
Yeah, and this thing has levels.
And it has levels.
What we can say, just from the legislative point, that the request is what, $1.12 million to get this thing up and running. The facility is city-owned. It's practically already paid for.
And I think for the most part, there's no question the need for the veterans. But now I just want to say this. Not only does the veteran need help, but their families need help. So now we're talking about the community. The blight in the community of these veterans that are out here can be turned around.
Now, I know back in the Reagan administration, my father was a military veteran, had his legs amputated due to military injury. I was fortunate enough to go to college and receive Social Security benefits back then under the Reagan administration. And then just before Reagan left, those benefits got cut off. And no more, and I think that may have resurfaced in the last 5 or 6 years, but for 25, 30 years, those type of benefits wasn't there for the families and the children of military veterans. And I know you're a strong proponent and advocate of ensuring that the families are well-resourced as well.
Yes, there's no question about that. The veterans that are just at a normal status, there are opportunities and benefits available to them, and that's what we're trying to do, to provide to them. But then those veterans that had issues, and I want to bring that out because that's probably a large portion of the ones that are homeless. They didn't have the support. And I don't want to bash the military, I don't want to bash the government, but
all can do better.
But the point is that they don't have the resources to go out and reach these veterans.
Right.
That's why non-for-profits exist.
Right.
The federal government says we don't have the manpower to go out here and get in the neighborhoods. So they authorize non-for-profits to be tax exempt so they can start programs to help veterans. And that's what we're addressing. And we're boots on the ground trying to get into the veteran's home, which will not only benefit the veteran, his home, but now we're benefiting the community.
So as I'm reading here from a document, the existing site is in full need of building interiors, renovation, repairs, and upgrades, and what have you.
Correct.
And that's sort of the dollars to which you all are seeking, infrastructure dollars as well, in addition to program dollars, because that's going to be very vital. Now, in the Southland, there is a lack thereof of military resource centers like this. They're just not available. And this is something that once it's constructed here, your voice will still be loud to advocate on the southeast and southwest and far south suburbs as well.
Yes, absolutely. And I just want to make one comment on to that. I have some property, land property in Mississippi, and I've already got a vision. I'm already targeting at a program where I'm going to call it somewhat a getaway program. Veterans that can't deal with this, go take a vacation, go get some training, get yourself together. So yes, there's no need across this country to reach the veterans. And so for the program that we're starting here, the property needs totally rehabbing,
Right.
but it is going to be an outreach.
Now,
I can see way down the road many other municipalities. Oh, well, we need to be doing something like that.
Exactly.
We got veterans.
It needs to be contagious.
It needs to be contagious.
yeah, it needs to be contagious.
Right up to the White House. You know what? And I'm not putting my foot in my mouth now, but the national walk up in Washington, D.C., when we were there, I walked out there and I looked. And I said, my God, there need to be veterans everywhere coming together and then being supported by the government. They answered the call. Now it's time for us to get the call.
Wow. So, Mr. Pryor, I know that you, in your role as our point person for Veteran Affairs and our coordinator, you have other events that are forthcoming, even though our primary focus is
Yes.
that Community Resource Center.
Yes.
But let's talk about those events that you have forthcoming.
Okay, number one, on May 29th of this year, coming up this month, we're having our second annual National Military Appreciation Luncheon.
That's awesome.
That is open up to veterans to come in, get recognition. I've got some reports from last year's event, how educational it was,
Right.
how much it meant to veterans and the community to see veterans being addressed,
Right.
the honor they need and then the assistance that they need. And so that's going to be a big event, and I'm going to use that as a kickoff to announce some new programs. One of them is the honor flight to Washington, D.C. I was able to make that flight last September.
Let's talk about the honor flight. Exactly what is that?
Yes, the honor flight is for the war veterans in particular now, not just regular veterans, but the war veterans.
Yes.
They fly them one day, all expense paid, up to Washington, D.C. to visit all of the monuments.
Wow.
And get the recognition. And you have a guide that's assigned to you, each veteran, and it's just so welcoming and warming for that veteran to think that this country, all of a sudden now, is recognizing me. And that's what the honor flight, that's why it's called the honor flight.
And only military war veterans. are
Only
allowed.
military war veterans.
That's got to be fascinating.
And again, myself being two Purple Hearts, I was delighted.
Right. And then
I was
the
delighted.
brother and sisterhood, they're obviously taking the flight, people
Yes.
sharing their stories.
Absolutely.
And they're not all just bad stories, stories that often cause some pain, but there's
Yes.
just some strong relationship stories that you guys reflect on as well.
It's
correct?
enough to make a veteran cry.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not going to go into details on it, but the honor
Well, we
that
got
you
some
get,
tissue, Charles.
the point is the honor that you get,
Right.
the appreciation for that one day,
Right.
and that's why I want to address all war veterans. Take the trip.
Yeah.
I got the connections, I got the wherewithal to put that together to help these veterans to go to Washington, D.C. Again, it's called the Honor Flight for war veterans to Washington, D.C.
So our Veterans Assistance Center will allow you to house many of these situations and events in its own stand-up facility, and that would be awesome. That would just be great. Is there
That's correct.
anything else you want to focus on?
Yeah, but before we move on to that, this is a photo here of the Honor Flight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you get to visit the World War I, no, I'm sorry, there is a World War I memorial in Vietnam, in Washington, but you visit the World War II, Korea War veteran, and the Vietnam memorials. It's just extravagant, and I'm excited about that.
That's good, I'm sure.
Next one is the Hometown Hero banner displays.
Okay.
We've met with a facility here, a store, and pretty soon we're gonna have banners around Calumet City of the
Right.
veterans that supported this country.
Right. And
Excellent program.
And to note, there are many veterans of color that live here and minorities that live
Absolutely.
here. And oftentimes that gets lost, but in these small communities, there's just a wide, diverse array of military veterans everywhere.
And one of the keys is, again, the veterans don't come out. A lot of them are isolated.
Right.
You know, they feel like, hey, you know, you can't talk to me. I'm a war veteran. You don't know what I've been through. But the goal here of this program here, this outreach program, is to reach those, to get those veterans to come out and be a part of that. The next one is music lessons to promote veteran therapy.
Wow. That speaks to the mental health as well.
Speaks to the mental health.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Totally.
awesome.
And I've even come up with a new name now. We're going to be called the Cal-Vets.
The Cal-Vets.
Cal-Vets, 2 reasons.
Yeah.
Number 1,
Calumet City. And your veterans.
Number 2, I was in the 1st Cavalry Division.
Really?
We used to wear the big horse hats, you know, we were riding on horses.
Right.
But the cavalry now is in
I'm not telling your age, but okay.
They're riding in helicopters.
Wow.
So the Cal-Vets is going to be introduced here.
That's good.
And then along with that, the programs that are offered, not just for Calumet City. You can participate anywhere. And we're going to have remote facilities where we can broadcast out to other municipalities.
That's awesome.
We're going to invite other municipalities to join this.
That's totally
We're going to try to get funding to set up other stations.
That's totally awesome. That's
Thank you
totally
very much.
awesome.
The next one, free White Sox games tickets to veterans.
Bad choice, but okay. You need to go further north. But anyhow.
Yes. The next one, horseback riding outings and lessons for veteran therapy.
Right.
Yeah, I've already contacted with the Forest View Farm Stables in Tinley Park. The owner is interested in helping veterans with the horse therapy programs.
Wow. And so
Big program.
And so until we're able to get the standalone facility,
Yes.
the residents can still enjoy their working relationship with you to get these items out to ensure that they're able to engage and participate. But wow, I can't wait to the groundbreaking.
Key you just stated was engaged. The next one, fishing outing at the Powder Horn right here in Burnham. We're going to have a fishing outing where the veterans can get together, catch some fish, and cook them right there on the banks.
That's not bad.
Yeah, and then the last one, golf outings.
Oh, well,
We're going to go to Top Golf and then Wicker Park right here in
Will
Highland,
you take
Indiana.
a non-veteran with you? Because I know I'm going to go.
And the goal is, again, to build this camaraderie-ship.
Yeah.
Build this family. And I want to key on that word.
Right.
You know, people that don't have family, they need family, whether they're a veteran or not. But now let's go to the veteran that was in combat. There's a great need. And right now, the word veteran is big in the United States of America.
Right.
We don't have the volunteer rates that we need to support the military, and we don't have a draft. So literally the military is in trouble a little bit. So, but well, again, the goal here is to promote the veterans, to raise the quality of their life.
You know, I could sit here with you for days because there's so many facets to a veteran's life.
Yes, it is.
And we've tried to coalesce all of it right here in 30 minutes.
Yes,
but
it
yet
is.
and still, I'd like to have you back because there's just some other topics of interest for the veteran community that they want to hear that they don't normally hear on CNN and MSNBC and the other networks that I think we could bring you in and we can start talking about and individualize these topics so people can hear really how they can get help. And to that end, if someone out there's a military veteran out there or a family of a veteran official out there, a military veteran that needs to get in contact with you, how should they do that, Charles?
Again, my name is Charles Pryor. I'm the Veteran Coordinator, City of Calumet City, 204 Pulaski Road. My cell number is 312-509-3803, office number 708-891-8100, extension 8132.
Can you repeat those numbers again?
Yes, my cell phone number, 312-509-3803, office number 708-891-8100, extension 8132.
Good. You know, Charles, as I aforementioned, we could sit here and talk all day about this, but you got to come back because as this particular project progresses, and knowing you and the mayor, it will, and I know there'll be some more trips you'll probably have to make to Washington, but we really, really appreciate your service, not only to the country, but specifically to the city of Calumet City. It's just been a great honor and a privilege to have you, Mr. Pryor, a two-heart Purple Heart veteran, and he's just been fascinating. He's got a great mission. This is his ministry, and you heard his contact information. If you would like to hear more, if you didn't get those phone numbers, just punch in www.calumetscity.org, and there will be more information. Hey, I've been Sean Howard, right here on New Day Calumet City, and as we always say here, keep the faith.
you.